There are 4 completely false facts when it comes to buying real estate. In this video, in less than 15 minutes, you're going to know all 4, the benefits, how to boost your credit score, and exactly what these are so you can make the best informed decision when it comes to buying any piece of real estate, whether it's your first home, second home, third home, or investment property, which can also be your first home by the way. We'll get into that here in just a second. So the first one is people think you have to have a large down payment. The second one, people think you have to have this crazy high credit score. The third one, people get this misconception that you hear people say, oh, you don't own your house, you don't own it. You do own it, and I'll explain in detail why and how. And the fourth is people think you have to make a whole lot of money. For example, if you make $70,000, you can buy a $265,000, $270,000 house right now with your payment less than $2,000 a month. Many of you watching this, give me a thumbs up if your rent is less than $2,000 a month, right? So why not looking into buying a house? So let's jump into the down payment. You don't need a whole lot of money for the down payment because there's 4 ways to purchase a house where you literally need 5% or less. Let's start with the first one. It's 5%. You need 5% down if you do a conventional loan. Your credit score has to be around 640 or higher to do a conventional loan. You have to have 2 years on the job. You need 5% down. The seller can pay all of your closing costs, which almost is never over 3.5% of your borrowed amount. You're not your purchase price, your borrowed amount. So if you bought something for $200,000, you put 5% down, that's $10,000, and your closing cost is going to be based on the $190,000. So that's the conventional way. The other way is FHA. You only need 3.5% down. The seller can pay all of your closing costs. You only need 3.5% down. The other is VA. If you're a veteran in this country and you've served in the military and you have your honorable discharge, then the Department of Veterans Affairs says, we're going to cover everything. It doesn't cost you anything but the closing cost. You still have closing cost, and the seller can pay your closing cost. If the seller pays your closing cost, you get into the house literally for no money out of pocket. Now keep in mind, I always tell people, if you have at least $1,000, you can get into a house, and I'll show you this way next, called USDA. But even if you're VA, you're going to need $500 typically for a deposit, of which you get that money back at closing, and then you're going to take $400 to $500 to do a home inspection on a home. I tell everyone, unless you're just a contractor and you have experience and you've been in this business, don't inspect your own house. I don't inspect my own houses, and even then I've had home inspectors miss things that's cost me money. So always get the house inspected. So you need $1,000 out of pocket that covers your down payment, your deposit, and your to do a home inspection. So let's jump into USDA. USDA is the United States Department of Agriculture. What they do is they give you a 100% loan. It's not a down payment assistance program per se, because you're borrowing 100% of the purchase price of the house. Now to do that, you have to have a credit score of 620 or higher, and your credit score at 620 or higher, you also need 2 years of job history. So you have to have 2 years on the job to show proof that you do have credit, you do have income, it is coming in. How they do that is they give you 100% of the loan. So if you bought a $300,000 house, they're going to loan you $300,000 as long as your income can justify that mortgage payment, whether it be $250,000, $300,000, whatever it may be. They follow the same guidelines as FHA. FHA says you can borrow up to around $520,000, I believe it is. Don't hold me to that. I haven't looked in a while. I think they just went up in 2026, but that's a good number. In terms of people say, well, Wayne, how much money, what's my income limit? Well, you do have an income limit when it comes to USDA, and that's $119,850 if you're a family of 4 or less. If you're a single person, you're a married couple, if you have 2 children, if you're 4 or less, $119,850. Now, if you're more than that, then that income limitation jumps up to $158,000. So as long as you're under $158,000, you can get a USDA loan. Now, a lot of the questions that people ask, well, Wayne, if I get a USDA loan, how much do I have to pay back? None. You don't have to pay any of that money back. It's your house, you bought it, you own it. Here's the caveat though. You have to live in it as your personal residence. It has to be your home that you live in, that you're going to reside in. And so in a case like that, I look back 30 plus years ago when I bought my first house, there were probably down payment assistance programs out there. I just didn't know about them. And there's down payment assistance program just like that one that a lot of people don't know about, and that's why I do these videos at WayneTurnerTV.com. Now, for those that don't know, I've been in the real estate business for 30 years. I've helped thousands of people in my 30-year career buy and sell real estate. I'm just a big believer in you learn it, you master it, and you teach it, and you give back to the community. It's just a win-win for everybody, and I love doing these videos. I also tell folks that if you're out there, you're looking for a house, you need a good real estate agent, you're not too sure who to hire, they're everywhere. You know, there's over 1 million real estate agents, and it's like, well, I need one that's good. I need one that's experienced, because a lot of real estate agents are part-time, and if you want somebody that's full-time, that's vetted, we have a complete list of every city, every state, every county and parish, you name it. We have the top, we work with the top real estate agents as well as the top lenders. But keep in mind, you don't have to use anybody we recommend. If you're curious and you want to know somebody, you want to reach out and talk to us, book a call with us, you can go to contactwayne.com. No cost, no obligation, doesn't cost you any money. You don't put in no credit card. We're not going to be chasing you down. We just believe in helping people, and if you need a good referral, we connect you to that. It's really just that simple. Now, as far as down payment, we've covered that. The next one is credit. So a lot of people think, well, what about my credit? What about my credit score? What do I have to have? Really, you only need about a 620 or higher credit score. Now, VA is a little bit different. VA, you only need a 580 credit score. So if your credit score is 580 or higher, you're good in terms of VA, a Veterans Administration loan. When it comes to conventional, you're going to need around a 640, 650 or higher to get a conventional loan. FHA follows the same guidelines as USDA. You're only going to need a 620. But I always tell people there's a couple of things that can boost your score. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, I always tell people, grab a pen, piece of paper, take notes when you're watching the video, but more importantly, do this. Grab a pen and a piece of paper and write down everything that you owe on a credit card that's going out. Write the total balance that you have and the minimum payment. And then put as much as you can towards the smallest balance. And then after that credit card is paid off, don't even look at the interest. After that credit card's paid off, and here's why you don't look at the interest, because you want the emotional factor of this snowball domino effect. Because when you pay one off, you're like, yes, you want to work that much harder. When you're looking at the most expensive one, the highest balance, if you will, that may have the lowest, then you're chopping away at that. It's easier to stop. It's easier to quit. There's no reward. So it's a game that you play with your mind to say, okay, this one owed $400, this one owed $5,000, this one owed $7,000, this one owed $1,400. Put those in order from lowest balance to highest, and pay minimum on the rest, and pay as much as you can on the lowest balance. Now, I always tell folks, the best way to keep your credit score in check and to raise your credit score is to keep your balance below 30%. Below 30%. So for example, if you have a credit card that's got a $5,000 limit, right? You want to keep your balance $1,500 or below. That keeps your credit score peaked. It keeps your credit score high. Now, if you have a small credit card that you owe $300, $400, $500 on, and you've got cash to pay it off, please pay that off. Pay off those balances on those cards, because your credit score will boost. There's been hundreds of people that have reached out to me in these videos that I've done on credit, just on credit, that says, man, Wayne, I did exactly what you said, and in 30, 60 days, my score bumped 100 points, and I was able to buy a house. And I'm like, that's what it's all about. So, one, you don't need a whole lot of money to put down. Two, you don't need a crazy high credit score. Three, you don't need to make a whole lot of money. A lot of people aren't aware that, you know, a lot of people say, well, you can't buy a house, or it's expensive where I live, and I get it. If you're up in New Jersey, if you're in Chicago, if you're in Denver, Colorado, where the average price of a home starts around $500,000, and you're like, Wayne, I can't afford a $4,000 a month mortgage payment. Well, I tell folks this, you have to look on the outskirts, because a lot of people don't realize this, and it's really important. The suburbs, I'm riding through a suburban area of New Orleans. New Orleans is literally 45-minute drive from where I'm at right now. But yet there's Whole Foods, Fresh Market, Starbucks. We got three of them. It's everything you could ever need. Home Depot, Lowe's, all of this stuff, right? But this is considered a suburban area. How did this suburban area start? Because people wanted an affordable home years ago. That's how it's all began years ago. You have to move out a little bit. And so I always tell folks this, watch where they're putting a McDonald's, watch where they're building an apartment complex, watch where they're starting a new subdivision, because before they spend millions and millions of dollars $15–20 million to build an apartment complex, rest assured they probably spent $1 million to do research, to know exactly where people are and where they're going next, so they can buy the land where they know the people are going. They track everything. You know as well as I do. They track our banking, they track our location, they're listening to us on our phones. They want the little Winn-Dixie card and the Kroger cards that you scan. They know everything you buy and you purchase, right? So I tell folks, follow the masses. Follow where it's going. That way you can buy a home. That's what I did. I moved on the outskirts. My first home was in White House, Tennessee. I just moved on the outskirts. Why? Because I couldn't afford really anything in Hendersonville or Goodlettsville that wasn't maybe a 30–40-year-old house that needed a lot of work. So I bought a brand new house. I had to drive a little bit. You know, it took me 15 minutes, 20 minutes to get to a Lowe's or a Home Depot one way. But I lived in the house for 5 years, and when I sold it, I made $25,000, because you do own a house when you buy it. Please hear me this. You do own the house. A lot of people say, well, if you don't pay your taxes, they'll take it. They do. They will. Absolutely. I think it's crap. I don't believe in it. Absolutely, I do not think that once I made a purchase on my home, I should have to pay taxes. I think it's ridiculous. I've paid it. I bought it. I own it. But every year, I have to pay taxes. But you have to understand this. It's part of the road system. It's part of everything. Although Florida's making a big ruffle right now, because Florida's like, we're about to do away with property taxes. And they still have a $15 billion, I don't know how they're doing it, but they've figured it out, right? So here's what happens if you don't pay your taxes. After 2 or 3 years of not paying your taxes, they'll take your property. But you have to understand this. The payment that I'd mentioned earlier in this video, where I said you can purchase a $270,000 house and your payment be less than $2,000 a month. Here's what I mean by that, because that includes your taxes and your escrows and everything. And I'm going to talk a little bit about PMI here in just a second, and how the whole confusion started with the 20% down. So back to the property taxes, it's included in your mortgage payment. So is your insurance. So for example, if somebody says, well, your payment's going to be $2,000 a month, you bought a $260,000 house, you want to make sure that includes your principal and interest balance. It also includes your taxes. It also includes your homeowner's insurance in case, Lord forbid, something happened to the home. And it also is going to include your private mortgage insurance, which runs about 0.8%, 0.08% of the loan amount of the house. Bottom line is, it's not as much as people think. You purchased a $260,000 house and it's literally less than $200 a month, but it's on your mortgage payment. You have to know that. Now, here's something that people need to be aware of. It's really, really important. If you don't put 20% down, you're always going to have to pay private mortgage insurance. The mortgage insurance that you pay is a mortgage premium that you pay every month to the mortgage company. They're loaning you the money, and they have an insurance policy on you in case you default on the loan. I try to make these videos as simple as possible. They put an insurance policy on you because you didn't put 20% down. Because statistically proven over decades, they know that if people do not put 20% down, their rate of foreclosure is higher. People put 20% down, their rate of foreclosure is lower, because you do own the property and you can sell the property. And anybody that gets in a financial strain that has 20% equity in their property, then they know they can sell it. So they charge you the premium. You pay the monthly premium. Once you get 20%, if you're a conventional loan, that premium can be taken off. You can simply call the mortgage company and say, hey, I have 20% equity. They'll send out and do a broker price opinion, or a real estate appraiser will come out and appraise the property, and literally 30 days later, it's taken off your payment, right? However, when you do an FHA loan, you put 3.5% down, but that private mortgage insurance never comes off. It's always there. You always pay it. It doesn't matter. Like several years ago, they changed that, because it used to be with FHA, you get it taken off. Now you cannot. So if you get an FHA loan, you need to know that. The only way to get it taken off is that after you've lived in the home for maybe 2, 3, 5 years, you've got some equity built up, you can turn around and refinance that house to a conventional loan. And when you refinance it to a conventional loan, you still will have to pay PMI if you don't have 20% equity. However, once you do get 20% equity after you refinance the house, it would be taken off. Now, USDA is the same exact way. USDA, once again, follows the same guidelines. So you don't ever have that PMI, private mortgage insurance, and it's called a mortgage insurance premium. It's either MIP or it's private mortgage insurance, but you're paying the MIP, the mortgage insurance premium. A lot of people get that confused. Try to just make this stuff as simple as possible. So there you have it. You don't need a whole lot of money to put down. You don't need a crazy high credit score. There's things that you can do to absolutely boost your credit score 40, 50, 60 points in the next 60 days. If you're watching this video, you can reach out to us. If you're not too sure, we connect you with a lender. Most importantly, we walk you through the process and show you how easy it can be. And I've just got a lot of videos out there, so feel free to go to WayneTurnerTV.com. Look at those videos. I've done just about everything when it comes to buying land and investment property and all this stuff. But a lot of people say, well, Wayne, I've heard this where you can actually buy a investment property. So let's touch on this. Really quick, it just came to my mind. You can buy an investment property. You can buy a duplex, a quadruplex, a triplex, and you can do it with a USDA loan. You only need $1,000 out of pocket. I tell people $1,000 because you're going to need a $500 deposit, and you're going to need $500 to do a home inspection. You can buy a duplex as long as you live in it for at least 1 year. You can buy a duplex USDA. Now the USDA means United States Department of Agriculture, and that means that you're going to be on the outskirts 30 to 40 minutes outside of town. You don't have to be out in the country, because I'm in Louisiana. We call this a parish, and it's basically just like a county. There's no different. And with this whole area, the entire county parish, if you will, is USDA approved. Any of these houses that I'm riding through right now, these are homes that are in the $300,000 and $400,000. You can get USDA loans on these homes just like this because they follow the same FHA guidelines. So I tell people, you buy a house, you do own it. You can buy investment property. You can have someone paying on a duplex. You can have someone else living next door helping you pay your mortgage. You can live in it for a year and turn around and put a tenant in there and go buy a house another way. It's a great way to start building wealth. I tell people, and this is so important to know, the percentage of people that have a much greater wealth when they own real estate. And here's simply why. One, you have stability, you have structure, you have knowing that no one's going to take it away from you if you pay it, you have knowing that your rent's not going to go up, your payment's going to stay the same, with the exception of taxes and insurance go up, and they go up because when your property value goes up, they assess your house based on how much it's worth, and they charge you more taxes based on its worth. I think it's crap, just Wayne Turner's opinion. They also increase your insurance because you want to make sure that your insurance in 5 years is enough coverage. Lord forbid your house were to get struck by lightning or catch on fire. So that's pretty much the way it works in its simplest form. And so many people get it confused. So many people tell folks out there, so many people frighten you in fear, and the housing market's going to crash. And listen, if you learn anything from me, Wayne Turner, the housing market is not going to crash. People need to understand that right now, there are literally less than 35,000 homes that have gone to foreclosure in the year of 2026. Now, you compare that to the 2008, 2009, 2010 crash, and there was just under 3 million. So let me explain to you really quick what causes a housing crash. It's really simple. When people cannot afford their mortgage payment, the market crashes. How the market crashes? When you have an abundance of mortgage payments going up because they got adjustable rate mortgages like they did years ago. An adjustable rate mortgage means you get it at the rate, and when the rate goes up, guess what your payment does? It goes up, right? So you had adjustable rate mortgages, then you have layoffs. I always tell people, follow the price of crude oil. Crude oil hit $144 a 55-gallon barrel. Back then, we're nowhere near that. I think we're literally under $100 a crude barrel right now. So when prices go up on fuel, everything goes up. Everything's made out of plastic, which is a byproduct. Oil's a byproduct to make plastic. It's just that simple. And everything that we have in life is either put on a plane, a train, a boat, truck, and it's trucked and they all use fuel and they're not run by electricity. So listen, I'm Wayne Turner. Hope you like this video. Go to contactwayne.com if you're looking to buy a house, have any questions. Go to WayneTurnerTV.com to find more videos just like this one. Be sure and subscribe, like the channel, leave a comment, ask any questions. I personally go through and reply to the comments, and that's what I enjoy doing when I just kind of sit and relax in the evenings. I like answering questions in those comments. So feel free to answer questions, share your opinions, and most importantly, share your experience in life when it comes to real estate and how it can help you. Because bottom line is this: if you bought a home today for $300,000 and it appreciates at 4% per year, which that's the average appreciation that we've seen literally for about 80 years, right? In 20 years, the home's going to be worth $657,000. And if you don't believe me, ask your grandparents, ask your parents, ask your neighbor, ask your coworker what they bought their house for, how long they've been in their home. And if they've said, well, I've been in my home 8 years, I've been in my home 10 years, I've been in my home 12 years, ask them what they paid for the house. Then go to Zillow, put in their property address, and look at what the house is worth. That's called equity. The difference in what you bought it for and the difference in what it's worth today. And that's how people build wealth. You're going to wake up one day, I'm 54 years old, you're going to wake up one day, you're going to be 60. You don't want to be paying $4,000 a month in rent. You want to own a home where all you have to pay is your taxes and insurance. Until next time, I'm Wayne Turner. Thank you. And most importantly, may God bless you and your family.